hunter.
You're going to expect a little bit of what was in Diablo II. A lot of randomness, dungeons, creepy monsters, a big demon invasion, 5 iconic classes that are just become really powerful as you level them up and just do a really good job of destroying monsters. A real visceral combat experience. Those are all things that are being carried over from Diablo II, but also a lot of new things, like a much more, a deeper, more engaging, epic storyline. Also getting away a little bit from telling the story to the player by having them read and doing the story more like as you play, as action in the world. You encounter the story as you're playing the game. And then of course we're really innovating with the skill system by providing things such as the skill room system that we announced yesterday. Or no, we didn't announce it yesterday, but we kind of revamped it and covered that yesterday, which will allow you to change what your skills do and what they actually look like when they change, so that you're going to have just a huge variety of possibilities per class. Each one of the classes does have to eventually fit into like the world of Diablo, and it also has to fit the gameplay style, right? We can't just change the way all of the ways that the combat mechanics works for any individual class. There's still that classic one-click button kind of Diablo gameplay style that things have to fit with. But at the same time, what we try to do is make each of them play in a way that is distinct enough from one another that they have their own identity. So to give you some examples, it's really important for us on the Barbarian to make sure that everything is very, physically oriented, that he does things through physical action, swinging weapons, throwing his body around. Whereas if you contrast that, let's say, with the Demon Hunter, who's a ranged class, and we wanted a vibe that isn't so much like, Demon Hunters are really made, they're not born. So we really wanted this use of gadgetry, I'm going to say that right, gadgets, right?
Yeah.
Use of gadgets and maybe borrowing magic from demons. She doesn't have magic herself, she borrows it through knowledge and learning about demons, and then using crossbows and becoming just a good marksman, that kind of thing. And then that creates like a ranged feel, which is very different from the bard. You want to stay away from monsters that the Demon Hunter. Whereas the bard, you really want to get close to monsters. This creates a really nice differentiation between those classes. So the Demon Hunter is really, really cool. We started out actually with building that particular character actually a long time ago, but we couldn't quite figure out what the twist was going to be, because if you look at that character being ranged and using bows, you might get the first impression, you might think, well, why wouldn't we go with like a woodland ranger kind of character? So and that's where we started, but the idea was we want to always provide that twist. What's the thing that's going to make this character recognizable but different? It's something new, so it gives you some new space to explore. So with the Demon Hunter, what we ended up doing was bringing in this really dark Diablo Gothic vibe, right? She's got that real, almost a little bit of what the Necromancer brought to Diablo 2. She sort of feels that really dark world. She's got a hatred for demons. She's got this investment in sort of the shadow magic thing. She's got a high degree of agility to get away from monsters. You see this in Skill Vault. Okay, but the other thing is, from a story point of view, there's a really good reason for there to be demon hunters in the world of Diablo, because what we're doing with the story is there's this huge, like never seen before, invasion of demons coming. It's coming in the world. People in the world aren't sure what's going on, if it's ever going to happen, but it's on its way. And so having a character like the Demon Hunter that has this single-minded hatred for demons, it's all they want to do is find demons, hunt them down, and eradicate them. It really underscores what's going on with where the story is going to go. So yeah, it is an engine that was always designed from the ground up to be just for Diablo III. I was there right at the start when we did it, so I know all about it. And it's kind of a cool thing about what Blizzard does with this game. I know a lot of companies will try to, in order to save money, will say, well, we're going to use this engine, we're going to use that engine, and sometimes that makes a lot of sense. But for us, the thing is we allow each game team to do what's right for their game. And this particular engine, it's not like it has tons of bells and whistles in terms of graphics technology, but what it does have is a lot of specific things built into it to facilitate the kinds of things that make a game like Diablo what it is. A good example would be a lot of different kinds of randomization, right? We can randomize monsters, we can randomize tiles for the dungeon, we can randomize, we have a system that we call subscenes, which allows us to make an area of the world kind of like a donut, where you can decide what goes in the hole, and that can be fun, right? So we have all these different layers of different kinds of randomness, which provide a heavy replayability. That was probably some of the key technologies that really went into the engine. There's more storytelling going on while you're out playing. We put a big focus on trying to make it possible for you to stay out in the game playing. So not so many trips back to town is one element. Finding the story when you're out in the world, so you don't always have to go back to town to get your quests or to make the story continue. Another one is hyper randomness, randomizing not only monsters but randomizing the scenes, randomizing the things that can be inside the scenes. We have a random events system, so you can, as you replay the game, you can go to an area where once before maybe there was nothing, but this time you go back and there's a huge event where there's maybe these Moon Clan goat shamans or something doing some crazy thing. You go back there the next time and there's a cave, and you can go in and all of a sudden there's a whole new cave you've never been in before. Yeah. And that kind of randomization is really something that is going to promote a heavy amount of replayability in the game. We haven't really changed our course very much at all. I would say that the best way to answer this question is really, there's this idea out there that, there are good ideas and bad ideas. And what we found is that that's not really true. What there really is mostly good ideas, just not always good ideas that are well executed. Okay? You take your idea and you might try it on, just like when we started with the Demon Hunter class originally, it's sort of like a Woodland Ranger type. Maybe that was a bad idea because it wasn't working out. No, not true. We just hadn't iterated on it enough to get it to the point where it had all of its potential. So what we've seen is not a lot of cases where the objectives that we started out with changed a lot. That hasn't really happened. They were all really good objectives. We wanted to make the game more approachable. We wanted to make sure we brought enough of the old game forward with us so that you would recognize that, oh, this is a Diablo game, it's the Diablo world, and it still plays like my favorite Diablo game. But at the same time, bring in these new elements that freshen it up and give you a new space to explore. So skill rooms is a good example of that. The trait system is another example of that. Dies allow you to customize the way your character looks is a big example of that kind of thing, where those things weren't really in the older games, but we're bringing them forward. And then putting them all together with the stuff that you're familiar with to make something that's a new experience.
I will never stop killing.